Hello, guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and the message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story? I want to share my own confession with you, but English is not my first language. My first language is French, but I will try to make my story as simple as possible. My story goes on like this, my brother. When my parents passed away, I then moved into the city. I moved into the city even though I did not know anyone. First of all, when I was in the city, I started staying in the street. I was just a homeless person. Then I met this other guy. He was someone who was selling pure water. From there on, business started picking up. I was working for that man who was also my friend. And it seemed as if I was someone who was very lucky because from the moment that I started helping him, and he had promised me that if business was going to pick up, then he was going to make me an equal partner. But as you know, that black people, they struggle to keep their promises. The moment that we started selling a lot of stuff, that was when that man said that I had stolen some money from him. So this was just a way of him trying to remove me from his business. After that, my brother, I returned back to my struggling days and I became homeless again. That was when I started working for this other construction company, but it was not a big construction company, it was just a normal one. Whilst I was working in that construction company, one of the people that we were building their house, it was a very big mansion, then said that he wanted me to remain behind. When we had completed building his mansion, he said that he wanted someone who remained behind so as to clean up the place. So after we had finished building, I then started staying in that very big mansion. It was empty at that time and it didn't have any electricity because the electricity was not yet connected to the main grid. So it used to be very scary, especially at night. If I remember very well, that house, all the rooms that were in that mansion, there were 23 rooms in total, including all the small rooms like your pantry, your food pantry, and the other bathrooms. All of them, there were 23 rooms in total. It was a very big house, a double-storied one. So, my brother, whenever I'll be all alone sleeping in that big empty mansion, I used to feel like there was someone who was always walking around throughout the night. And those people that I was working for, they then started postponing. Like if they said that by next week we are supposed to move in, then they will postpone and they will say that we are going to move in the next of next week or even next month. So I stayed there, my brother, in that house all alone in an empty house for more than 1.5 years. Whilst I was staying there, that was when I noticed that I am someone before when I was still staying in the village who usually wakes up at night. But after I had told that man that I was now working as someone who was taking care of that house, I told him all of the things that I used to feel in the house and the way that I was always being chased in my dreams. So when I spoke with him, he sounded very angry and he dismissed my dreams. And that was the first time to experience his other side of his character because he seemed to be a very caring man. But on that day, when he had came to give me some money and some food, that was when I thought that it was the correct time for me to tell him all of the things that were happening at his house. And I thought that maybe there was someone who was trying to bewitch him. So I thought that this was a good warning that I was going to give him. But to my surprise, he dismissed everything and he started yelling at me. But he didn't yell at me like Why are you telling me your dreams? He just diverted my attention, and he started looking around the house, and he started saying, why are you not cleaning? Why is this place still dirty? And he insulted me, my brother, and he said that if you sleep like the way that you are sleeping, like sleeping day and night without making sure that you keep my house and my yard clean, I am going to kick you out and you will be staying in the street, or I will have you arrested. So he dismissed all of those dreams that I was having. On that night, my brother, when I went to sleep, I was sleeping. Then I felt that in the room in which I was sleeping, there was something that entered, something that was very dark. When I tried to open my eyes, I could not see what it was exactly. All that I saw were some wings. The creature that entered into that room that I was sleeping, it had wings like those ones of a dragon. And from there on, my brother, everything just went dark, and I fell asleep like I was a dead man. I woke up the following morning, and at first, when I woke up, I could not even remember what had happened. I was only able to remember, my brother, after I had joined the occult. That was when I started to remember and to see that the things that were happening whilst I was staying in that man's mansion, it was because that man, he was an occultist as well. So experiencing all of those things, it led me to join into occultism because I wanted a little bit of protection. This house was now more like my home and my workplace. So after that man had insulted me, I started to run around in fear that indeed the man was going to chase me away. Instead of blaming that man, I then said that maybe it is I who has a problem. Why is it each and every person that I work for, in the end, they just fire me like that? This job, I cannot lose it because that man, he had a lot of businesses. And when I had started working for him, he had said that I want you to be my own personal driver. So this was like a very good opportunity for me. So, my brother, I then started to try to fix my own problems by visiting some pastors, and I visited some priests as well. And when I had visited this other priest at his shrine, he then said that in our family there was a spirit of poverty. That spirit was the one that was always following me around. All that was needed was a little bit of sacrifice. I said, who am I going to sacrifice? But when he said that a little bit of sacrifice was needed, I said, what kind of a sacrifice is needed? That was when he took a knife. When he took that knife, he took my left hand and he just sliced the palm of my hand just a little bit, and there was blood that was now dripping out. He then said to me, go quickly, go to that pot. There was this other clay pot that was standing right next to the altar, and he said, just go there and squeeze your blood so that the rest of your blood will not be wasted. It can fall straight into that clay pot. That is what I did. After I had done that, I then started seeing that from inside that clay pot, there was a little bit of smoke that was coming out. But when my blood kept on dripping into that clay pot, that little bit of smoke just vanished. Then that man said that, oh, well, that is good, for your sacrifice has been accepted. Now that you need to do, now what you need to do is that you do not need to work for anyone. You have to go out there and be your own man. I said, I do not have any money. What am I going to do? What kind of a business am I going to do? That was when that man said that the kind of a business that you are supposed to be doing is a business of caring people. By the time that you will be caring people, you will be taking away their blessings. So at that time, I didn't even understand what he meant when he said that by the time that I'll be caring the people that I'll be caring in my business, I will be taking their blessings. That was when he gave me an idea and he said, you can become an Okada man. So I said, where am I going to get all of that money to buy that motorbike? And he said, the shrine is going to make sure that it gives you that money, but the shrine does not give anything for free. If it will need any sacrifice, then you have to sacrifice something in return. And I said, what about my blood? You said that this is the only sacrifice that is needed. And he said that this sacrifice that you have done, it is a sacrifice so that you can be accepted by the shrine. Right now, you are the child of this shrine. The shrine is going to bless you, but for each and every blessing that will be granted to you, a sacrifice will be required. So I went back to the place where I was working. After I had been paid my full month salary, I followed the orders of that priest. I went and I started renting somewhere else. And one morning, my brother, when I was fast asleep, I didn't even know what to eat, where to go to. That was when I saw someone in my dreams. And this person, when I was talking with that man, it seemed as if that man that I was speaking to, he had been sent by my ancestors. And he said that, look, I have been sent to give you this money. And when I woke up, to my surprise, I was holding a small bag that had money. The door was locked, the windows were closed, so I do not even know how that man managed to enter into that room that I was renting at that time. When I counted the money, I then saw that the money was just enough so that I could buy a motorbike. I went, my brother, and I started operating as an Okada man. And as I was carrying people, each and every person that I used to carry, I would feel and I would see what their destiny will be like. After I had started working as an Okada man, I then returned back to that shrine so that my motorbike could be strengthened. And the way that it was strengthened, a chicken was slaughtered. After that chicken had been slaughtered, then that man who was my priest, he started washing my motorbike using the blood that was coming out of that chicken. And he said that the bike had to stay at his place and he was going to call me once the bike had been strengthened and I should come and take it from him. So, my brother, I stayed for several days, just like he had told me that in my life I'll never go hungry again. The moment that I will start to complain, like, what am I going to eat right now? That priest right now, he is holding my bike. Maybe if I had it right now, I would find some people to carry so that I can have money just to buy something. Then immediately I would feel some movements happening in my pocket. When I would touch my pocket, I'll see that there will be money. The money will just be enough so that I can go and buy something to eat. After a couple of weeks, that was when that priest called me. He said that the bike was now ready to work. I went there and I collected my bike and I went back on the road. My brother, right now, I am someone who has a lot of money, but this is the punishment that I have to take. I have to be an Okada man for the rest of my life. Early in the morning, I take one of my beautiful cars. I have a lot of cars, even the house that I managed to build. It is a very big mansion, but each and every morning, early in the morning, sometimes around 4 a.m., before people start driving around, I load that motorbike of mine and I will drive into town. I always find this other car parking space where I leave my beautiful car and I start running around as an Okada man. People just think that this is a poor man who is trying to survive, but I have billions and billions in my house. The moment that I will be running around carrying people to and from, I will be harvesting their destinies. But where these destinies are going to, I do not even know. The only thing that I know is that for a season, I have to go and leave that motorcycle of mine at that shrine. Then, after a couple of weeks, I would go back and I will collect it. What that priest does with my motorcycle, I do not even know. As for the sacrifice that I performed, one of my relatives had to die. But the way that my relative had to die, it is a very complicated thing to take. But the way that my relative passed away, it is a very complicated thing for you to be posting, because it involves a lot of torture and some things that are not even allowed by the law. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that I received from one of our dear brothers who was saying that he is a French speaking man, and he said that I have tried to write my story in English.